Practice 22.
Okay, welcome back to the new term. Hope you've had a good time in your vacation and that you're ready for the thesis paper. What I'd like to do in the session is to give you the opportunity to ask questions on writing the paper, because, as you know, a thesis paper is one of the most difficult and long-lasting tasks for students. Writing a thesis paper is a big challenge. Students often face a great number of problems. I'd like to try my best to help you to solve these problems.
Dr. Brandy, can you describe the steps which we should take during our thesis paper writing process for us?
Right, good question. It is indeed very important to understand that your task is to divide your thesis paper into several parts. It is difficult to think over the whole task, so you should create a plan and follow it. The first step, of course, is to create a topic. Choose something interesting, informative, and catching as a theme of the thesis.
I still haven't got any idea what I want to do it on.
Don't worry, the paper is due at the end of the term. You will have time to think it over. The second step is to make a literature investigation. Gather as many literature sources as possible and find information on the internet. After that, it's time to make a practical investigation, your personal experiments that can make your thesis paper interesting and unique.
This is the part that I feel extremely difficult. I mean, all the experiments are based on the research done by somebody else. It's hard not to use the previous study.
Yes, you are right. You should tell about your own researches in your thesis paper, not only to mention some outside discoveries, but as it is impossible to do without the outside help while preparing your thesis, you should mention all the sources which were used for your thesis paper.
I assume the next step is the writing up then.
Well, not yet. You should make an outline first. Divide all information you get into parts: thesis abstract, introductory part, main body, and conclusion. After that, you should write the results, which were received during your research.
I've read some last year's thesis paper. The final part are usually the reflection, describing the strength and weakness of the paper.
Exactly. This is the final step. You should show the importance of the research and decide whether the future development of your thesis paper is possible.
Well, madam, is it possible that we submit the electronic file, or do we have to hand in a printed form?
Thesis papers are normally presented in a printed form. In fact, you also have to do at least 3 copies of your thesis, 2 for readers during the presentation and 1 for the faculty.
Are there any specific standards on the printing format? I heard it can be very strict sometimes.
Of course there are. Let me check my note. Yes, it's right here. Printing requirements. 1. In printed thesis paper, you should use a 12-pitch front on A4 paper. You should print your thesis paper on both sides of the paper with double spacing. 2. Quote and notes, which were used in your thesis, should be printed in single spacing.
Please hang on. Let me take it down. QUOTE and NOTES, single spacing. Got it.
Where were we? Yeah, 3. You should separate the footnotes from the general text by a black line. And the last point is there should be at least 3.5 centimeters space on the left side of the paper between the main text and the margins. Any more questions?
You haven't mentioned about the word limit. How many words should we write?
Sorry, I forgot that. We're quite flexible on this. Last term there used to be a limit of 25,000, but this year we'll make it 20 to 25,000.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, well, great. I hope that sorted a few things out. You can always come and see me or drop me a note if you've got any more queries.
Fine.
Thanks.
Thanks.